when we're looking at the subject matter there, who are the legal incorporators leading to the registrars, we know that in definition, a incorporator is the person who signs and files the articles of incorporation to create the entity's corporate existence. So the ones who create the corporate entity birth certificate are the registrars, and therefore they're the ones that place this on file. But the problem with their little incorporation is that they're using something natural, something of truth, and then placing, of course, their fiction with it, which runs the problem. So the fraud of this is that the statement of birth record the parents filled out cannot be a letters patent, because the very fact is that there is truth occurring there and property that does not belong to the legal state, that is the private property of the child. And we've got a situation that arrives that the best they could come up with is this birth certificate entity that's ambiguous and unclear to run it as a patent or a letters patent. So the filers, of course, that place it on file, first this is on file, and then they have the birth certificate that's issued that comes from the final completion of what they're trying to attempt to create or invent a legal entity, is finalized by the incorporator. So when you're really looking at this, the Registrar General, why we keep talking about that as the source to write to, but you have to be clear about what your position is going to be and what you're going to do. But if you are going to continue to operate as a surety, you have to realize that they're not going to know this without you speaking out about it. The incorporators basically have put this in place mainly to control a world that is going to operate down legal sin, and therefore it's for law enforcement reasons. And that's why in the handbook on birth and death registration, these registrars, these incorporators, state very clearly, even in page 25 of this book, the development of the registration system. He was talking about the United States in this booklet. It says the decree to this effect was issued by a Massachusetts court in 1639. Interesting, the decree went out to register the world with Augustus Caesar. So do you think they're maybe just following the same thing but putting it into a much more sophisticated and technical system? So by 1910 they had this all in place, 1910, 1911, because they were going to create world commercial war, World War I, temporal war over power, over commerce and money. And therefore they needed to have a system to bond the legal persons who were going to go out there to surety this activity and this war. So they needed to balance out their public health. So they decided who was going to live and who was die, and they guesstimated how many would not come back from these legal wars. And therefore these certificates were canceled upon their non-return from war, and it basically placed the property back into the public pool again. Therefore, it could restart it and then resell those properties again and go through the same thing. So they're balancing out commercial activity, and this is what this is all about what you've experienced over the last 2 years. They're just basically getting rid of unnecessary debt instruments, and when you surety that debt instrument, you basically have placed yourself into a position that what has been stated in Supreme Court, declarations, that what the state can tax, it can destroy. So, unfortunately, we've placed ourselves into a very, very poor position by choosing to go down a legal elective path versus a spiritual one. So, the out is there because no one's going to basically surpass the power of Christ, and it's a matter of the individual basically coming out from that and taking a position against anything that would be immoral, fictitious or impure. So we want to be on the proper side, not on the improper side.